Yes, yes.
All right, you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, okay. Now, what we're going to look at today is that I'm going to share my screen with you very shortly.
Right.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. And it's very clear. You can see it clearly.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, this is the first tutorial we're going to have on Axure, and what I want you to understand in this software is that it's a wireframing and prototyping tool.
Okay.
I'm just going to load my notepad. Then you can take notes as well if you want to.
Okay.
So Axure is a wireframe / prototyping tool. That is what the system it's all about. It's not a graphic. Axure is not a graphic tool at all. You can, although you can use it if you know how to work with the color scheme and everything, it can serve as a graphic tool, but the end result cannot really be used for a mobile front-end application or a web application. You cannot use the graphics at the end of the day. You can't use the code. Axure will generate for you an HTML code, and when this HTML code is generated, this code cannot be used on a live server, so you cannot use it to build a real website. Although Axure.com, which let me open now. Let me open Google Chrome. Axure although Axure itself was built using a prototype, this prototype as well. The website was used to build this prototype. And what you can see is that if you right click, how you can check, if you right click and say view source code, you will realize that this is Axure. It's not normal standard semantic HTML code. This is Axure. So what they've used to build their website is Axure RP itself. But they own the software. They can gamble and they can use it the way they want, and they can make changes and they can make it work for them. But it's not advisable for you to use it to build a real website. So firstly, know the point that Axure is a wireframing and prototyping tool, and it's not a graphic tool at all.
Okay.
So yeah. Also, in wireframe, there are different types of wireframe. There are low fidelity wireframe and there are high fidelity wireframe. A low fidelity wireframe will be just a skeleton representation of what your application might look like. It will provide a conceptual flow or an idea of what you are trying to build. A low fidelity wireframe is similar to if you sketch something on a piece of paper. The reason why a low fidelity wireframe on Axure is better than a low fidelity wireframe on paper is because, firstly, if you make a mistake, you can press Ctrl Z and you can go back. But on paper, if you make a mistake, you might not be able to change it. The next thing you might do is to tear the paper and throw it away and take another piece of paper and redraw what you've done. So that might cause you like a lot of paper at the end of the day, and you are just changing, and you are changing papers left, right, and left, right, and center. But if
Balsamic is
yeah,
also good to make low fidelity prototypes.
yeah, I think balsamic it's is generally for that. It's not meant to be used for high fidelity wireframe and prototype because of the way the application is built and what you get at the end of the day. The output look a bit like normal low fidelity wireframe. It's not about high fidelity wireframe. So
Okay,
yeah.
what's the main difference between a wireframe and a prototype?
Okay. The difference between a wireframe and a prototype, they are slightly the same, but it depends on the context in which you are using a wireframe and the context in which you are using a prototype. A prototype could be anything. A prototype can be just a a representation of your idea, whether a mobile app or a website. Now, that prototype could be high fidelity prototype or it could be low fidelity prototype. The language you use around it, it's not really the most important thing. What is important is the output. And what you classify as a prototype might not be what another person will classify as a prototype. So take for example, I can build a prototype with, let's say, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then I can still call it a prototype. The reason why I call it a prototype is that it might have a functionality, but that functionality might not work. So I might just show like, okay, this is what this button is going to do. This is how this is going to happen. If they click a particular screen, it will go to this page, and this particular screen will interact with this page, and this is how they will use this application. A prototype, most of the time, 90%, it's almost a representation of what the final project is going to look like. So,
Okay.
a prototype that is developed using a using a graphics tool such as Adobe Photoshop, Sketch, Adobe, all these suits, you realize that they will eventually become be called a prototype, because if you design something in Sketch or in Photoshop, you are adding colors, you are adding all these fancy things, and these fancy things will be what the application will look like when it is fully developed using HTML and CSS.
That's what it's called, the UI.
Yeah, that is why it is called UI.
Okay, so many people ask to have UX and UI abilities.
Yeah, exactly. So that is when you're talking about UI design. When you're talking about UI design, you are just talking about designing the actual screen, the actual interface of what an application is going to be, whether a mobile application, a web application,
The UI
a
is
tablet
like how
application.
the final product it's gonna look like, right?
Yes,
Okay.
is how the front end is going to look like. So be it a mobile app, be it a website, a tablet PC, a television, video, the UI, what it's going to look like, that is what they call user interface, and that's it.
Okay. And the front end developer, what does? It's the HTML, CSS, Java. Uh,
The front end developers, their skills now is evolving, is changing. Typically, a front end developer will know technologies such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, Ajax, things like that. What you use to build front end stuff. So what you can like interact with in the web browser, that is what a front end developer is going to build. So what you've seen in this screen that I'm showing you now, the actual website, A front-end developer will be responsible to develop this page, and this page will comprise of HTML, will comprise of CSS, and can comprise of JavaScript.
Because many times when looking at the UX portal job, they ask the companies to have like HTML and CSS as an advantage.
Yes, because some organization will tell you that they want you to build a prototype, but there are different levels of prototype, right?
Yes.
There's a tutorial from Google that explains different levels of tutorial as different levels of prototype. Now you have the paper prototype, whereby you have to just do something on a piece of paper. You are not using a computer, you are not using anything, you are just drawing, and you are just making your research and gathering this information, that and you can prototype with that using piece of paper, pencil or biro and paper. That's what you are using. Now another level of prototype, which is a digital prototype, is when you are using tools such as Axure, you are using tools such as Photoshop. Although Photoshop is not a prototyping tool, but I will use it in this scenario. The reason why I'm using it is because it's a digital asset that you are creating. So you create this digital prototype using a piece of software, and then the next stage is creating a native prototype. What I mean by native prototype is when you start writing actual code to create your interfaces, to create your UI design, which means you are writing real HTML and real CSS, and you are writing real JavaScript to create a piece of, a piece of design.
Okay.
So those are the three types of prototype that you will come across, and every organization varies. So if you see a job advert that asks you to know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and they say you'll be creating prototype, have it in mind that what you'll be creating will be a native prototype, because you're actually writing code. Because HTML, CSS, JavaScript, they are code. But if they ask you to create a prototype and they mention a software like Axure, Balsamic, Photoshop, know that you will be creating a digital prototype.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I directed my search in Axure, in prototyping, Balsamic, and maybe some Photoshop that I'm studying also.
Yeah. So you'll be doing digital prototype for that. So that is the whole concept of wireframing and Axure, and I hope you understand what that is all about now. What the purpose of Axure, what is used for, and what is not used for. Like I
Yes,
said,
actually, as you say, it's a wireframing and prototyping tool
yeah,
with a very good definition to make high fidelity prototyping with interaction, but it's not a graphic tool. For graphic and UI designs, we would use Photoshop or Illustrator or Sketch.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So that is it. So now what we're going to do, we're going to look at Axure. So I'm going to introduce you to Axure. I know you have the version 8, but I've got version 7. It's actually the same thing. There is really no difference too much about the version 7 and the version 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so but
You have the license of Axure?
for the sake of it, let me open the version 8. Let me see if this version 8 no. Let me see this version 8.
Ah, you have the version 8.
Yeah. It's our version 8, but I've not been using it because all the projects I've worked on are on version 7, and I'm just familiar with version 7. And because version 8 is still relatively new, so I don't really want to use version 8 now. I want to wait for some time before that version 8 will be, you know,
Oh,
so I'll be used to it. But the experience that you have in version 8 can be transferred into version no from 7 can be transferred to version 8. For example,
yeah,
the
it's pretty
obvious
much the
change
same.
the obvious change on version 8 is that previously in version 7, for you to use font awesome in your prototype or wireframe, you have to download it, a library, and then install it. But in version 8, they've put it there, so it's there permanently. So you understand, they take that stress, and also they change the UI. The UI is different, so where you have the save button and create file, they've make it look a bit nicer. But also, if you are not used to it, you might get lost around it. So, but we can use version 8 to do anything we want to do as well, and I can teach you about the version 8 if you want to learn the version 8. But bear in
Yeah,
mind, you might work in a place and they might have version 7. So, but the idea is still the same thing. You just need to familiarize yourself with the interface, how the interface look. So, yeah,
okay.
let's get started now with the interface. Firstly, what you see, you will have the file menu, which is normal in every application. You have the file menu, you have the file, you have the edit, you have the view, you have the project, you have the arrange, you have the publish, you have the team, you have the account, and then you have help and support. I'm sure you're familiar with the file as well, where you can create new page, new new documents, and then you can open recent file. You can save as, you can import. So I'm not going to go through much detail about what each of the menu is all about. Now, another section that you will see here is the panel, which is the pages. This is where you arrange each of the page for your prototype. This will serve as a sitemap where you have all your pages arranged. So it always starts with home page, and you can always rename it. You can rename it by just clicking it once, or by right clicking and then select rename, and you can name it anything you want to name it.
Okay.
You can delete all the pages if you like. You can delete all the pages, there's no pages, and you can create another page. If you see this page, you say add page, you can create another page, and then you can name it home, or you can name it anything you want to name it.
Okay.
Also, you can create a folder. Now, for you to create a folder will mean you have lots of pages. So this folder helps you to organize all your files, all your pages. So let me just delete this page. Let me create a folder. I can create this folder and say main project. Now, this main project, I can create a page under this project. But look at this thing, it's not directly under this project. So what you will do to move it under this project, you have to indent it and say indent. Once you indent, you see these changes, this arrow here, which means this page is directly under this page. So this might be the main project,
That-
and this might be home page. And then you can have another folder here. You can call it, let's say, administrator. And then
what that means that the page is under the folder but not under, it's like under right.
yeah, okay, because this page is going to reference another page. So when you are creating your sitemap and your navigation, when you are creating your user flows, you're telling each of these folders, you've arranged them in an organized way, firstly to manage it properly so that you can know which page is under which particular folder. So this folder is just for you to organize your pages. Once you can organize your pages properly, then you can add as many pages under one folder. And each of these folder will help you when you want to generate flow, user flow. If you want to generate user flow or page flow, this information here from the sitemap area will be used, and it can generate it in a consistent way and make sure that, okay, there's a particular, because every application starts with an home page, which is followed by, let's say, about us, contact us, and product and things like that. So consider a typical e-commerce website. You will have things like a department, and you have like product category, and you have product sub category. Then you will have product. So you having this now, you say product department. So you have product department, which means under this product department you have product category. So let's assume we have department called car, for example, and then we have car as a department. Under car as a department we have, let's say, motor car. And then under this motor car we have this subcategory. We say maybe different types of car: Mercedes-Benz, Range Rover, Nissan, Toyota. And then each of these products could still be the type of Toyota, because what we might have, we have car first, and then we have Toyota, and then we have different types of Toyota, and then under the Toyota then we now have the actual Toyota car. So it can be it can be any type of Toyota. So the idea of it is there's a relationship between each of your pages. So what page comes first and what page comes last. If you look at the application you're trying to build now about the security system, what page are they going to see first and what page are they going to see next. So this will be all your different states, different user journey, user flow, and this is what you use that pages to organize, and this is where you create all those pages, and the folder just helps you to organize those pages properly. And that's it, really. It doesn't do anything. The next thing is you have this library. This library are just widgets that you can use to build your prototype. If you go to all libraries, you will see everything. That means you will be scrolling like too long, you can narrow it down by saying you just want to see the default library. That means you only see the default library for Axure, which is this libraries. And then let's assume you want to have the flow. You have the flow, and this flow just tells you about this information. It gives you the flow chart, the flow chart widget. So you can use this widget to build a flow chart on how your workflow is going to look like. Then you have icons, which is the font awesome that they've incorporated into Axure 8. And then you have Axure library, which is something that is pre-built. So if we open the page, we can have HTC frame, for example. So this is a library,
And
so
the library, it's yours, right? Because I don't have that in my actual.
no, this library, I think it's mine. Yeah, I downloaded this library, but it's possible to download it. Yeah, this library as well. I built this library, yeah, because I'm building this library myself. So I've got different types of library. I've got a splash screen library. I've got an onboarding library. So you can change things around it and reuse it the way you like. So
Onboarding, what means?
no, I'll still come to that later. Now, so all these libraries, the reason why you create them is that you create something and then you want to reuse them over and over again in a particular project. So now if I want to design a login screen, I don't have to fight and start to design this screen again. I can just go and get it from the library that I've created and say, okay, I want a login screen. I can just come here and say I want login with email. I've created it already. I'll just put it there. If I want the color to change, then I can change the color if I want to change the color, because this library has been created with a color in mind, but you can change it to your own specific color that you want. So if you want to change this color to, let's say, if you want to change this color from red to another color, you go to the color. Like I said, I myself, I'm not familiar with this. You go to style and then you'll be able to see the color there. You can say fill color and you can change it to red. So that's the purpose of the library. The library helps you work faster, and if you search on Axure website, you can see a lot of libraries that will help you build prototype faster. So
yes, and it's well built. Like if I use templates, or people want that you build your own products on the prototype.
yeah. Can you hold on just a second, please?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so like I was saying, that a library will it helps you to build prototype faster.
Okay.
So I've created this library now. If I share it with you, you don't necessarily need to create a login screen anymore. All what you might just need to do is just to change maybe the colors or to remove an information that you don't need from the library. So from this screen, so if you don't need this button, you can remove it. If you don't need this icon, you can remove it. So but the end goal is that it makes you create a page very faster, and then you will see that at every given page you can make use of this library. And I'm at the moment I'm developing different types of library. So if you look at this library here, this page that I've created a product page. So for example, an e-commerce mobile app, I can create a page here, and I don't need to create a product page anymore. I can just use this product page within my prototype. So that helps me to create my prototype very much faster, and that's what a library is used for. So it's going to be handy when you start getting your hands on Axure, and that
Okay.
is what you use in the widget area, and you can always use it. The next section is the masters. Now the masters, I did a tutorial which talk about masters, but what masters?
I know everything. I think about master. You can make changes. You can, if you are working on a page and you put convert to master or make it master, and then you copy and paste or you duplicate to another page. Every change that you make on that thing that you are designing would be done also in the other page that you put as a master.
Exactly. So consider it like a kind of a style sheet, a CSS, because once you've applied a change on a particular masters, and you've used that masters in a particular page, or if you use the masters in 5 different pages or 10 different pages, it will maintain that consistency across the pages, so it will not change. So if you use color red, it will always be color red in all the pages that masters have been used. So that is very good. And masters will be used for things like an header, things like footer, things like product, for example, like this library that I showed you. For example, now you want to maintain this product display structure within your e-commerce app. So this will be a masters that you're going to use for displaying your product, because you want to maintain that consistency. So things like that is what you use masters for. Now, the other page here is the property page, which is where you see the widget and interaction. So you can have interaction here, and you can add more of the interaction here. There's a drop down, you can add more. And as you create more dynamic panel, it gives you types of interaction that can be used with a particular widget that has been created. So you have it very very nicely done for you here by Axure. Another page, another section you have within the this widget and interaction that they've renamed in Axure 8 as inspector page is the note. So you can write things about a particular widget, that this widget does this thing. This is the login button. It does this. When you click this, it goes to this page. So you just have that note there. So it's very good for you to put that. And this style is just to show you, if I use if I go to a library and I get a box, I can come here, I can change the color in the style to black. I can, I can change it. I can change the shadow if I want. So this is where you style any of the widgets that you use.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Well,
and then this page is where you see your outline page. So when you create a dynamic panel, you will always see the the dynamic panel that you've created here, and also the page you are currently working on will be displayed here on the outline page. And now I'm sure you know what the preview um this preview button is to preview your project in the web browser, and here is to share your project to publish to Axure, and then here as
what is
well.
the difference? Yes. What is the difference between when you click then there and publish and put generate HTML files? It's the
Okay.
same than putting preview, right?
No. If you preview, you're only previewing what you've done. You've not generated any HTML at all. No HTML code is generated when you are previewing. You are just previewing what you've designed on the web browser. That's all. But
And what's the advantage of generating HTML?
well, the advantage of generating an HTML is that at the end of the day, you will have an HTML generated code. So if you want to do some other things within that code, you can actually go into the folder of that page, and then you can walk through it. And then also what I will tell you is that before you start any project, the first thing you need to do is you create the project. Once you create the project, you save the project. Once you save the project, you generate your HTML. Once you generate your HTML, you preview. The reason why you're generating this HTML is that because if you preview, you are not really generating HTML. The reason you are generating this HTML is that you are creating a project folder within Axure inside your computer. So I will show you. For example, now if I go to folder, my computer folder, and I go to documents, I will see Axure here. Have you seen it?
See, yes.
Yeah. If I click Axure, you have 3 folders within Axure. You have the documentation. So when you generate it, if you generate your product or your project documentation, you will see all the files here that will be saved as a Word document within Axure for you. So here, if I click here, then you will see, these are the things that, these are the pages that the software is going to generate for you using all your prototype. It's going to generate all these documents, so you can generate your document, and Axure will generate this for you.
How?
If you go to Axure and you go to
Axure generates those
yeah
Word documents.
yeah if you go to generate Word specification,
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
so Axure will generate that, and then you can generate HTML, and you can regenerate the HTML code just to make sure that you have up to date. The reason why you are generating this HTML is that you can run your project without having Axure installed on the system.
Oh, okay.
Because if you go back to the folder that I showed you, you go back to Axure folder and you click on Axure, if you will see these three folders that is in Axure. The documentation folder, which has the generated Word document for each of your project. your HTML, which has all your projects. So every project that you've worked on Axure that you've saved and you've generated the HTML, Axure will generate HTML folder for them. And within that HTML folder, you will also have your Axure RP file. So inside each of this folder, this is where you will find things as well that Axure is using. So all the images that you've used in your prototype, you'll be able to see them here. It's all the prototype, it's all the images that you've used will be displayed here, because when you click that button, generate HTML file, what Axure does is that it generates this project folder, generates this file for you, and within this file you have these data files. You have a CSS that Axure is using, so you can come and manipulate this CSS yourself if you understand how to use CSS. So now I can change the color to any color if I want to. If I want to change this color in this CSS, I can change it if I want to, because I can go directly into this CSS and I can see it there and change it. If I go back, if I can go to the to the image folder, I can go to plugins. So Axure works as if you are working within a standard web development environment. If you are developing a website, you will have your project folder, and inside your project folder you will have things like the image folder, the plugin folder, you have your CSS folder. So Axure generate all these things for you. So if you look at this data, because I want to show you another thing now. If you look at this plugin, you have the sitemap. It gives you a JavaScript file, and I can open that JavaScript file. I'm not sure if if my software will be, it cannot open it. Because I can open that JavaScript file, and you can see this is the JavaScript behind Axure. So if you know JavaScript, you can come here and you can manipulate the JavaScript to do what you want. And I think that is what they've done to build their website using this tool. They've actually done a lot of work with the HTML generated code that Axure has done for them. And here you have, another style sheet again, everything. So, but the thing is that normally you wouldn't go into this folder, because you might not even know that it exists. But as you're learning now, you know that every file that you are using, and you've generated the HTML, it goes into this HTML folder, and you can easily see it here. This is how this is how the project. So let's close it. Yeah. It was that JavaScript that I was trying to open, so we just close this anyway. So that is how you can, and here I think you can log out, you can sign into your account. So that is the general interface of Axure. And of course, this is the workspace where you can design and you can put all your files.
Okay, let's concentrate in the dynamic panels and the interaction, if you can.
Yeah. So now, to build a website, a web prototype, it normally follows a particular structure. It follows the semantic structure. Okay, everything is done in a structured way. So a typical site, we have a kind of structure like this: header, is we have the border, is we have the body, and it we have the footer. Within the body is where you will have all your content, and in the footer you will have some content as well, like some text and menu and links and things like that. In the header you will have your navigation and everything. So it normally follows this structure, and like I said, you will mostly use your masters to create your header, masters for footer, and also masters for some content such as sliders and things like that. So
And
what
that's for web and mobile or just for web?
web and mobile, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, the
Okay.
the idea of masters is to not have a design and you have to change in different pages. Consider masters as a style sheet. Once you make changes in one place, that change that you make will be reflected in all the pages that masters has been used. So if
One
I
thing that I view is that's new in the actual 8
yeah
is that you have you can make responsive projects with this.
yeah in Axure
You
7,
have to
in Axure
you have
7 you can make responsive project in Axure 7 as well.
okay,
Yeah,
with adaptive
yeah, yeah,
pages.
yeah, yeah, yeah. With adaptive views, yeah, you can make responsive. We can make responsive prototype. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use um a typical site, and then we're going to build something, and then we're going to make use of dynamic panels. So let me say this site grabble.com. Right now, this site has a banner. We're going to create this full banner. It has these pages. It has these sliders. If you see this slider,
Yes.
and also it has a footer. So we're just going to make
The footer
something.
here would be the black part, right?
Yeah, this.
And the body is the white, and the slider, and the header is the go up.
Okay, for this site, for example, now they don't have a header,
Header is the growler, right?
but header could be this banner, but they've combined the header and the banner and make it as one. So when
Yes.
I first start the website, if I start it for the first time, Grabble, start for the first time. No, let's use this Axure for example as the header. This is the header for Axure. This black area where you have the menu, features, business case, enterprise support, download, purchase. This is the header. Now from the banner here up to try Axure RP for 30 days is the body. And then this black area is the footer.
Okay.
You
The
understand it?
RPA actor is still the body
Oh, this
where
this white
it,
area where it says
it
try Axure RP for 30 days is the body.
okay, the body. And
Yeah.
go up.
If you go up, all these are still body. This place,
The navigation bar that is like static there, it's called global navigation, or how it's called?
this navigation that you see here, which is features, business case,
Yes,
enterprise, support, download and purchase, these are the header of this page.
yes. But the navigation is like static. It goes with you when you scroll down.
No. When you click here,
It's nice.
yeah, it's nice. So that's the way they've done it. But
Okay, let's
yeah,
forward.
that's the way they've done it. So let's move back to Axure and let's create something. What we're going to do first, we're going to create a header, and then we're going to take our rectangle widget. Now let's give it a width of, let's say, 960, and then let's give it
960. Wait a second. 960. It's for tablet. Why you choose 960 pixels?
well, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm not really focusing on whether we're building for tablet or we are building for mobile. But if you want to know exact style to use, you can go to this website, uh, mydevice.io/devices. This is where you will see the size of your smartphones.
Nice. Can you send me that link?
Yeah, I'll send you, and the size of tablets. Now, this is the physical width, and this is the CSS width and height. This is the height you will use when you are building your application.
But not in Axure, right? Because that's in CSS.
No, in Axure, what this CSS width means is that this is the actual display size. This is what you should build your prototype with. So if I'm building, let's say I've got a Samsung Galaxy Note 4 myself, right? So if I want to build a prototype for this application, I would use a size of 360 by 640. That is Samsung Galaxy Note 4, because I can use 1440 and then 2560, because that is not the screen size.
Okay.
So let's go back to Axure, and then let's create, let's just say 960, and then let's say 100. We're just gonna color this and say let's make it a fill of, let's say, 100. Let's say black. This is the header area. What we're going to do, we're going to remove the border and we say border none, so there's no border on it. Another thing we could do on this page before we progress further, we could have this page a little bit darker, so we could change the back color, and then we could say gray, or we can make it a little bit lighter gray and say this gray. Now, what we are trying to build this Grabo website, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. So what we're going to do, so that we can know the exact height of this banner image here, we're going to right click on this page, say inspect, and then we see, you see this arrow, you say select element, and then we put our mouse on each area that we want to know the width and the height. This banner is actually big because it's too wide, so I don't think we're going to accept this for the width. But what we're going to do, we're going to take the height, which is 660. So let's take the height.
Yeah? Where do you see that?
If you look below, if you look below here, you will see where it says div.block.blog inverse.text center.header, then 1985 times by 660.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
I'm entering into Gravel here, so let's see if I can see it. In my computer it looks different, not like in yours.
Okay. Yeah. It doesn't matter. So just watch my own screen. So, but the same concept still applies in how you will use it on your own system. So when you are developing your prototype, the concept I'm going to teach you, you can apply it in any concept, in any application you want. You don't have to do it exactly the way I've done it. You can change it around and make it even more nicer. So what we're going to do, we're going to have this height of 660, and we go back to Axure. Let's close this inspect element. Let's go back to Axure and say 660. Now let us grab this image. Let's see if we can grab this image in Axure, in Grabble. Let's go to inspect element, and let's see if we can grab this image, if it's possible, if they have this image here. Yeah, they have this image here, which is this. Okay, I don't think we can grab this image, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Let's get a text widget, and we're going to put it at the center, and then we'll say text color. We change it to white. Let's change the font to, let's say 75, or let's say 80 or something, or let's say 120, and then let's change it to Grabble. Now we can highlight the whole thing, and then we can align it and make it center. So you make it center here, and then you align it middle. So the grab will stay at the middle. Now what we need to do is to preview this page. Let's save this page as I'm gonna save it as Dani tutorial 1. We've saved it. So what we need to do, let's preview this page first. If we preview it, you can see that let's close this page. You can see that this thing goes to the corner here, but we want to achieve full screen, isn't it? So what we need to do is we need to go back to Axure. Firstly, we need to go back to the style. We're not going to click any of this widget. We're just going to click just the page. We click inside this page, and then we go to style. We go to this alignment, and we say align center, and we say align center, and then we go to this page alignment. We say align center as well. Now we save it. Let's preview it again. You can see that it has moved to the center.
Yes.
But it has not made it full screen. So this is what we're going to do to make it full screen. We're going to highlight this rectangle. We're going to convert to dynamic panel. Once we convert to dynamic panel, look at this style area. what we need to do is we need to name this dynamic panel. Let's name it as banner. Dynamic panel for banner. We've named this banner. Now let's go inside this dynamic panel. That means we click this triangle here and then we click inside here. So what we need to do is to go to this section here. And now I think what we need to do, let's go back to this, the main section. What we need to do, we need to use this align center here, and then we say stretch to cover. Let's go to properties, and then what we need to do, we need to say 100% wide browser only. So we save it, and then let's preview it again if it's gonna be full screen. It's not full screen yet. Now you know the reason why it's not full screen yet, because before we can make it full screen, we have to make it an image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this. I'll copy it. Then I'll open up Paint, and then I'll paste it in Paint. Once I paste it in Paint, I'll save it, and then I'll save it just as Grabble banner. And then I'll save it. Paint, yeah. And then I'll save it. Save it on the desktop. Once I save it on the desktop, I can close it. So what I need to do, I need to go back to this page here, the main page, which is the main dynamic panel. I need to come here and say import back image. Now I can either use image, or I can just say, let me just go to back color. But because it's an image that I want to stretch to cover the entire browser, which is 100% wide, what I need to do, I need to come to import and then look for the banner that I created. Click OK, save, and if I preview, it should be 100%.
How did you do that? I didn't get that.
First, what we need to do, we need to copy this. Control C.
That you paste to Paint.
Okay? Yeah.
You save to your desktop under the name banner for Gravel.
Yeah.
Then you came to here and you imported that image into the canvas, right?
Yes. So you go back to the main page, which is the home page, which you have the dynamic panel, not the state, the dynamic panel itself. And then you go to import. You can see here where it says back image. You go to import, and then when you press import, you will look for the file, which is JPEG, which is PNG or JPEG or anything that you want to call it. That is image file extension. Then you click OK. Once you click OK, you select this alignment. We say align center, and you say this one, we say align middle. Then you say stretch to cover.
Okay, and then preview.
And then you save, and then you preview, and then it's full screen. If I go back and remove no repeat, and I say this, even if I use back cover, I think we should not have that. It will remain the way it is. Because what this is doing for us is repeating this whole section until it fills the entire browser.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
It's not easier to simply take that black rectangle and make it larger instead of 960 pixels wide and 680 high. You can make it I don't know 100 I mean maybe 1600 wide and 1200 high.
Yeah, let's assume you make it, even if you make it 200 and you make this let's say 50. If you preview it, it will be wide, but the height will be different.
No, but I'm asking if you take it like an alternative instead of copying the black rectangle to paint and
Yeah.
then importing it. Instead of doing that, why you can't just make it bigger?
Okay, another way you can do it is this. You can go to this section we say back color, and then you can change this color. So if I clear this, for example, now, let's say I clear this now, and then we preview it again, and it shows this, right? It doesn't have that back image anymore. If I select, let's say I select this color, back color red, and I preview it, it's going to show the back color as red. What we are trying to do effectively is because what we've manipulated, we've converted this to a dynamic panel. And as we've converted this to a dynamic panel, what we're telling it is that inside this state, anything we'll do will be limited to this height. So the more I increase this height, the more the back color will increase, and also this dynamic panel will increase. So if I come back now and say, all right, you know what, I don't want to have this black, I just want it to be transparent, so I can come here and say transparent. Then I'm not seeing the black anymore, but I'm only seeing the back color, because it is the back color that I'm working on. Is I'm not seeing the black anymore. I'm only seeing this red because I'm inside this dynamic panel. If I go back to the home, I'm only seeing here, and this back color is here as well, which is this. So I can change it to any color I want, but I've limited the height because I've converted it to dynamic panel. I've limited the height. So if I increase the dynamic panel, I can always increase the dynamic panel. But note, as I've increased the dynamic panel outside of the dynamic panel, if I go inside the state, you can see this box did not move down here, because what I've only moved is the dynamic panel. I did not move the widget inside the dynamic panel. So once I've created a dynamic panel, I can use a widget inside that dynamic panel, or I might decide not to have a widget at all inside that dynamic panel. So the way you manipulate your dynamic panel will vary based on your own requirements. And this is how it is. But for the purpose of you trying to understand, now that I have this now, it will be wise for you to copy this text here, go to the dynamic panel, go into the first state, and then you paste it inside the state. Once you paste it inside the state, you realize that because I've removed that box for that dynamic panel, if I want to align this to be center, I can't do that because it's very difficult, because there is no way I can match it with another section. That means I'll have to take another box and put it here and then try to fix it and make sure it fits that dynamic panel area. And then I will have to maybe send to back, and then I'll need to make this transparent. But because there's a box now, if I make everything highlighted, I can center the text, which is the grabble, and then it stays in the center. And if I preview it, and you can see that the text goes there. You can see this border here because of the text, because I've added the widget. And to get rid of the border, you just need to go to border and say none. And if I preview it again, we cannot see it anymore, because we've made this whole page, this whole section green. We've made it green, and because we've converted it to dynamic panel and we've changed the back color image, we can either use just back color or we can use an image to stretch. So what they've done here is they have an image, and then they've used that image to make a full screen. Let me give you a typical example. Let's remove this and let's try to make use of a real image. So I'm going to remove that, and I will go back to the home screen, and I'll go back to this import. Let's try and see if we can get an image here. We click this, and then we can see here it has been stretched. Let's go back here and let's view it. You can see it fills the entire page because we are stretching this image to make it fill the entire page. And that is what this stretch to cover means. If you say stretch to contain, it will just contain it. It will not stretch it, as in the height and width of the image itself will remain. And if I preview it, it will remain as the image that you initially uploaded into it. So the image will not change because I did not stretch to cover. If I stretch horizontal, it will always go horizontal, it will always stretch horizontal. So depending on how your requirement is going to stretch that image. But the one that you will normally use will be stretched to cover, so that it covers that entire area that you've allocated to that image. So if I go back there, I can refresh it and I can go back to where it is. Or
okay, let's go back to the Gravel site.
All right. So let's go back to the Gravel site now. Now they have a section here which is the white area, and they have a section here which is the gray area. This is fairly simple. We just need to add a white section here. We can
the part that the iPhone appears with the with the images swapping out, it's easy to do.
Yeah, that is done with a slider. You know, the mobile phone thing is done with a slider thing, and then what you do is on page load, this information will be changing according to the screen that you've set. That's what's gonna happen.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
So how you can do it is this, right? We're going to let's get an image here. Let's come here and say this is the height. Let's remove the border. What we need to do, let's assume this is the mobile phone. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna assume this is the mobile phone. Now what I'm going to do, let me try and grab this image here. I'm gonna grab this image.
You're cropping the image
Yeah.
with which tool?
I have a screen grabber that I use. They call it Jing. It's made from, I think, this company that made Camtasia, TechSmith. So we're just gonna save it as PNG. Let's save it as in here. Let me put everything that we're going to be using, anything we're going to be doing. Let's put the image here. So I'm just gonna grab two. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna grab two. And then I'm gonna save this. So we have this. Then what we need to do next is we need to go back to Axure. We need to convert this to dynamic panel by right clicking, and we convert to dynamic panel. What we need to do, we need to rename the dynamic panel, because if we don't rename it, when we start building our prototype and our prototype become more complex with more pages and more dynamic panel, if we don't name it, finding out a dynamic panel will be very difficult. So we need to name it immediately. So we just click it twice.
You already made that that picture dynamic panel?
Yeah. You right click and then you say convert to dynamic panel.
Okay.
And then you go to the page properties, and then you say, let's just call it phone slider. A dynamic panel always have one state. So if we want to create more state, we double click on this and then we create another state.
For what you would create more states?
You double click on the dynamic panel, or you right click and you say add state, and then you add more state to it.
In order to do what, you need more states?
For the slider, because you need two sliders.
Every interaction is one state?
Yeah, every interaction comes with a default state, which is one state. So you will need to add more states.
One state.
No. Yeah, it's not possible to put two interactions in one state. So what you can use is you can do one state for one interaction. So to have multiple states, then you need to double click it. It will open this dynamic panel site manager, and then you will click on this plus sign which say add, and then you add more state. You can add as many states as possible, and you can delete as you don't want. So we're just going to use 2 for now, and you click OK. Once we've done that, what we need to do, we need to go inside each of these states. Now we have this state. We need to copy this state from state 1. Then we need to go to state 2. You can see state 2 is blank. We need to paste it there, because the reason why we are doing it is that we don't want to create another widget here, because we might not get the same height or width. That's why it's better to copy from the state 1 and paste it in state 2. Now what we need to do, we need to get that image and go to state 1, and then in the state 1 we click on the image, or we simply double click on it. Once we double click on it, it tells us to upload an image because it recognizes it's an image. And actually we open this dialog box and you will find your image. You go to folder, your folder. Let's open the first one and we say this. And then we go to state 2 and then we double click as well again, or we can simply go to properties and we can say import, and we can check it and put it here. So we've done that. Now let's go back to the home page. Once we go back to the home page, it will by default show the first state. That you have here. So what you need to do, if you want to display the second state as the page loads, or what you need to do is to come here and then you can right click on it and say move up. That means it will swap it and display the second state first.
But why you want the second state first?
Well, depending on your requirement, if you want to display this first, you can swap each of the states around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's possible to swap it around. So I can swap this back, right click and say move up, and I can swap it back. So that when the page loads, for example, it will show this first one. But if I swap it back and say move up, and I reload the page, it will show this. Now, what we need to do next is we need to now do the interaction. Now, how do we make this to like slide left or right or up or down as they have it here in Grabber? What we need to do, we need to come to Axure back again. We need to still click on the dynamic panel. Then we go to properties, and we can use any of these events. We can use on click event, on panel state change, on drag start, on drag and drop, on swipe, on swipe right, or on load. Or we can have more events. Like I said before, each of the dynamic panel will give you the default event that you can use, and you can have more events if you want, depending on the requirement. So you will need to play with this thing and say, okay, if I put on mouse enter, what do I want to happen?
Events that you use.
Yeah?
The main events that you use, what are them?
Well, the main events that you will use mostly will be the on click, the unload, on mouse enter, on mouse over, on mouse out, on mouse down, on focus. So depending on your requirements.
On focus, what it means?
On focus means that once if your mouse is focused on it, then something should happen.
If the mouse is closed,
Yeah, on
okay.
that widget, something should happen. On double click, if you double click it, then something should happen.
On move, what it mean?
On move will mean when you move the widget around. If you move the widget, let's say, you move it from here, then something should happen. If you move it back, something should happen. If you move it here, something should happen. So all this event here will vary based on your requirements, what you want to achieve. But what we're going to focus on, we're not going to focus on everything because it would be too much to know whatever the requirement we want to achieve with all these things. But with Axure, you can use all this interaction and you can manipulate it the way you want. So what
the on move is not clear because in the preview, let's say you put that effect on one of the pictures, okay? You put dynamic panel on move in this picture, and it for sure you want to move it in the preview. Why you would move it a widget?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Like all these dynamic panels now, there are different. Some of them are similar, and some of them are not similar. Like for example, if you look at this on mouse enter and on focus, they look similar, but the way it will be presented to the user is different. So it's a matter of you trying to test one and see which one is good for the user experience. Which one do you think is better? I don't know if you've used this app they call Tinder. Have you used Tinder before?
The unfocus.
No. This app they call Tinder.
Tinder? No.
Okay, yeah, that Tinder make use of a swipe gesture. So if you swap things around, it's possible to swap left, right, swap left, right, and you can drag and then you can move down. So what you're going to be playing with is the interaction. And like I said, depending on the requirement, what you want to achieve, you just need to look at each of these this widget and this event, and then you can make use of it. But if you want us to go through each of these events, it's going to take us a lot of lessons, because like this small event, for example, is like 1 2 3 4, like more than 20 events. So what you need to do is to learn as you go along and play with it and see how the event works. So now we're going to change from slide 1 to slide 2 automatically, and then we're going to use onload event, because if you look at this page, for example, now the thing is changing itself because I'm not clicking anything, right?
Yes.
It's playing automatically. So the best event to use for such thing will be onload event. So what you need to do, you need to click the dynamic panel and then you come here and click onload. Once you click onload, you come down and say change panel state. You click on panel state and then you say phone slider. You select the phone slider. Like if I did not name this dynamic panel now, I would not know which one is phone slider. And that's the importance of you naming your dynamic panel. It's very important. So you select.
But what is the difference between the phone slider and this widget?
No, this widget means that there is another dynamic panel, which is the, because I created a dynamic panel as well that I didn't name. So, but what you select is you select this phone slider. Once you select this slider, then you can select the state, either state 1 or state 2, and you can also rename your state. It's advisable for you to rename your state as well, so that you know which state you are on at every given stage. But for the purpose of
then you should put state 2.
huh?
You should put state 2.
No, because we are using onload and because we are loading continuously, we're not going to use state 2. What we're going to use next.
But if you put next, it will get to state 2 also.
Yeah, it will get to stage 2. If there is state 3, it will get to state 3, and then, then it will stop. But we want it to repeat and wrap it from first to last or last to first. So what we need to do, we need to repeat this and put it there and say, okay, we want you to choose this dynamic panel, and on page load, set it to next. And when you set it to next, as you are checking the next state, if you've gotten to the last one, repeat it for 1000 milliseconds. Once you've repeated for 1000 milliseconds, then you delay first state change by 1000 milliseconds. And then you continue the loop. Then you continue like that. You continue over and over and over again. And then you press OK. Now, if we click save and we go back to our page and we right click, you can see that it's changing, but it's delaying for 1000 milliseconds. Because it's supposed to change back. Let's go back to the state again. Let's remove this delay and then let's say wrap from last to first. So we're going to click here and then we're going to we're going to click here.
Nice.
As you can see,
Nice.
yeah. So what we can do again, we can, because it's too fast, we can say repeat every, let's say every 3000 milliseconds. And we can repeat, and then it's going to take a bit of time before it changes.
Okay.
You can see.
I got it.
Yeah. Another thing we can do is we can go back to the interaction and then we can animate. We can slide left, right, up, down, flip right. This flip right, flip left, flip down, flip up, it's not in Axure 7. This is in Axure 8.
Okay.
What you have in Axure 7 is non-fade, slide right, slide left, slide up, slide down. So if I say slide right, just click slide out, then I click OK.
Nice.
You can see. So imagine this is a mobile phone. You can move from left to right. And that is how you use dynamic panel to do this sliding effect.
Like swiping.
Like swapping, yeah. Swapping left, swapping right. Now, let's try this.
Wait, one question.
Okay.
If we were designing it for a mobile, instead of making this event in the onload, we would make it on swipe, right?
Yeah, we can make it on swipe or we can make it on click. Because on mobile, there is no click event. you touch. But if you touch, it recognizes that it's on click. So what we will
The
do
on
is,
click on mobile would be on touch.
yeah. So on click or on swap left or swap right will work on mobile. But
Okay.
on mobile, what I normally use is on click, because on click event will work whether it's on mobile or a website,
Okay.
So what we normally do on mobile is that, they have, what. So I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. This is I'm gonna make it a 360 640, like a mobile phone. I want to show you how you can manipulate this as well. 360 640, and then I'm going to change the second state as well to 360 640. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna have it here. So I'm going to do swap left and swap right. One way to do swap left or swap right is, if you want to use the on-click event, you can have a widget here. Add this section here, and then you duplicate this by pressing Ctrl D, and then you move this and put it here. What we now need to do is we need to have this section and put it here and click these two together. Then make it transparent, and we need to remove the border. But we know that something is there, isn't it? So what we need to do, we need to click here, and as we click here, we can add our on-click event, and we can say change panel state, phone slider, then we can say next, and we can say, I think it's slide left. We slide it left, and then we can click here. Or what we can do, we can come here, click Control Copy, we go to the other one, we click on click event and click paste, and then we go to the state and we just change it to right. So let's save it and let's preview it where it goes. So now, because the first one we did is still showing, which is the unload event. I believe it's still showing, which is the unload event. That's why it's showing automatically. So what we need to do, we can delete this event, save it. If we preview it, that means it will remain in state 1 unless somebody put their hand and press here. That's when it will change. If I come here, okay, what I need to do, I need to make sure that this thing comes up. It goes up, and then I need to,
every time you make a change, you save.
yeah.
You need to in other case, when apply the changes in the preview.
It will apply the changes, but it's just a good practice for you to just save.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if I click right, it goes right, and then I'm wondering what I've done wrong here. Okay, I'm coming. All right. Okay, yeah, I know why it's not working. Because when I copied it, I'm supposed to change it from next to previous. So if I reload, I can go here, and I can go here. Because if I'm in the first state, it can't go previous anymore. But if I'm here, it can go next. And I can add as many states as possible. Let's try one that I've not tried before, and let's see what's going to happen. I've not tried it before. The on swap left, well, it will not work because it's on mobile. But let's say on drag, what do we want to, on drag we can move it to, let's say we move this phone slider, we can drag to, somewhere, just just test it. You can see that it's moving.
Which event?
You can see that it's moving.
Yes, it's great.
Yeah,
Which event you define?
On drag.
On drive?
On drag, yeah. On drag.
On drag.
Yeah. So,
And it happens just automatically, or you move that?
No, you have to drag it, yeah, because it's on drag event. So you have to drag it.
Show me again.
You have to drag it with your mouse. So if I go, you can see, yeah, there is something still dragging. It's like, now let me, yeah. Because when you drag, you have to drop it somewhere. Like a drag and drop. So if you drag, then you drop. That's why if you look at this this section here, it has on drag start, so the position where it's going to start, and then on drag where you're going to like drag it to, and then on drag drop where you want to drop it. So all these events and interaction, you have to actually play with them and understand it. And it's through practice with different approach to to everything. So for example, because somebody give you a project that need you to drag and drop, there's no point for you to use a click event. You use the drag and drop. If they want you unload, you use unload. But the beauty of Axure is that it has all these events, and you can make use of them the way it fits your own requirement. All right.
Just I'm gonna share you for a second. It is connected to what we are learning now. I'm gonna share with you my screen in order to show you one effect that I was trying to apply.
Okay.
On dynamic panels, on something that I'm working on. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so this is, let's say, the first screen.
Yeah.
When you open the app. Okay, so let's say we want this button, okay, to take us to this screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I would do this.
On click.
Make it a dynamic panel.
No.
Right?
No.
No?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Okay. For every widget, you don't necessarily have to make them a dynamic panel. The reason why we created a dynamic panel for that slider is because we want to make that widget a slider. That means we want to have duplicates.
So you don't need to make every button a dynamic panel.
No, we don't
If
have
you
to
want.
make we don't have to make every button a dynamic panel. The only time,
So
you know,
how do you know
yeah,
when you need to make this a dynamic panel or not?
yeah, the only time we need to make it a dynamic panel, and I don't think a button is the example to use for it, but let's assume we want to a banner, for example, is what we use for dynamic panel, because we have one banner but we have two different states. A button,
Okay. I got it.
yeah,
I got it.
a button is
Okay,
just a
so this
button.
would be on
So
click.
exactly, so a button we use on click. So if you click on click right now, you click on click, yeah, and then what you go to is you go to open link, which is links. You go to open link. You go to open link. Yeah. Go to open link and then you select the link you want, the page you
The
want.
brain.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, and then you see that place. It tells you open in current window. If you drop down, you can open a new tab. You can open in pop-up or you can open in parent, but you will normally open within the current window. But if the requirements say open in new tab, know that it is new tab you're going to select. Once you've selected it, you can click OK. Also note, in this screen, you can link to external URL. So if you click that radio button, that's a link to external URL, then you can put any website. You can put www.google.com. Once somebody click that button, it will take them to www.google.com. And then
Okay.
you can reload page, where you make use of a variables. But these are sessions where it is a bit advanced for your level right now. So
Okay.
so what you're going to make use of is just click OK. And if you click OK button, if you click OK now, and you preview your work, then if you click that button, it takes you to that page.
Very nice. Wait, so okay, so we are on the brain.
Yeah, on
I
the
put
brain.
each, you
Yeah,
can see the blue
yeah.
circle
All right.
because it's the first, the heart is the second,
Yeah,
the arms is the third.
exactly. Now, the way you've done it different pages. This design, for example, now what you could have done is you will have done this as a dynamic panel, and then you don't need to move from pages to pages. All what you just need to do is just to reload the content of this screen, so that you just put all your the slide left, slide right. So if a user click left next, they'll go next. If a user click back, they go back. But the way you've done it, if you click next, it will go to the next page, which is fine, but you will have make use of a dynamic panel for that whole area. So you will have turned the brain into the dynamic panel, and within that brain you will have created 3 states, which is the brain, the heart, the arm.
Okay, I can do this now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
If you select the brain, the inside, yeah, the design itself, yeah, Right click on it, convert to dynamic panel, change the dynamic panel name. Yeah.
To what?
You can just call it slider. Now go back to dynamic panel again. You click it twice. Yeah. Now go to state, click that plus button and create another state. Click this plus button again. Click OK. You see you've created that 3 states. But in these 3 states, only one state contains something, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
the slider.
Yeah. So only one state contains something. So what you need to do, go to state 1. If you double click on state 1, now you see this is the dynamic panel. If you go to heart, click on heart, the heart in the page, the heart page.
Where?
The heart page in pages. The heart. No. Click on the heart. The heart. You can delay down here. Click on the heart. No, just double click on the heart. You know you have the brain, the heart, and the ham.
Click on where?
The heart. The heart. You have the brain. You have the brain. You have the heart, and you have the hams. Click on the heart.
Here?
The next one. Okay. Now select that content, the hams. Cut it.
Cut it or merge it?
No, cut it. No, cut it.
Okay.
And then go to the brain. Go to state 2. Paste it there. Now make the x, make the x 0 and the y 0. Just change it here. Don't drag it here because you might not get it well. Just go to the x, change it to 0 and the y 0 as well. Now you have something on the state. Now do same thing for the third state. So you go to the heart here and then you just copy it. You cut it off.
But it's not group.
Yeah, what you can do, hold shift key down and select it. Cut. Come here. And go to state. Oh yeah, paste it there. 0. 0. And then let's go back to the brain. Okay, now.
Why is blue in the back?
Yeah, no, it's because you've made it a dynamic panel. But when you preview it, it's not going to show the blue thing. So don't worry, yeah. So if you go now to next button, click on next button. Yeah, another thing you need to do again, because you want to show which state you are with this round thing. So if you can cut this round thing, cut it off. If you cut it off.
The next button?
Yeah. If you cut it off. No.
How do I do it?
No. Not the next button. The one that is blue. Those round circle. Yeah. Copy all the 3. Just cut all the 3. Cut it off. Cut it. Go to state 1. Paste it under state 1. So I just move it, like centralize it. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and then copy it.
Copy.
Yeah, or if it's in the hat already, just go to hat and copy from the hat. If you've already done it, just go to hat, yeah, and copy it. And copy it away from there too. You cut it off, and then you go to the brain. You go to state 2, and then you paste it. And then go back again. The brain page, yep. Oh no, go back to arms. And then cut it off. Go back to brain, go to state 3 and paste it in state, yeah. And then what you need to do, you need to go back to brain again, and then click on the next button. Now go to on-click event. Yeah. Okay, now because you've started another case, click cancel or close. Click case 1. Okay, just double click on it. Yeah, all right, yeah. Click it again, yeah. And then go to set panel state. Go to slider. And then select state, which is next. Click OK. And then click back button.
It's okay that I made the next button dynamic panel or not?
No, yeah, but don't worry. You've made a mistake already, but don't worry. Just go to back. Click that back. No, back. Okay, scroll down. Go to more events. I'm not sure why. Yeah, click on click. Go to set panel state, slider, and then select state, previous, and then OK. And then save it and preview it. Preview it, yeah. And then click next. Click next. Click next. Click back. Click back.
Right, but
yeah.
Why there isn't like a hand here?
A cursor. I think probably because you've converted it to dynamic panel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think that's why. But you get the logic now. So the idea will be to design this page well, and make sure that But in an ideal sense, you will not put next, and back. You understand? Because the user will know that if they touch the left-hand side of the screen, they will go next. If they touch the right-hand side, they will go back. So
yes, like if they swipe right.
Exactly, swap left and swap left. Yeah. So that is how you just do it. So you just work on this and create more, of this dynamic panel. So what we're gonna do is that it's 3 hours now. It's about 2 hours something. Yeah. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna stop now, and tomorrow we'll continue and what you will do, practice on this dynamic panel, and we're going to perfect this dynamic panel. What I want us to do, I want us to create a mobile app. But the way we're going to create a mobile app, we're going to create the following screen. In the next lesson, we're going to create a splash screen or a startup screen, and we're going to create onboarding screen. And if we have time, we're going to create some loading section as well, and then we're going to have like a home screen.
Okay.
So
let me ask you something, James.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, can you make it earlier?
Tomorrow I will not be able to make it early because I've got class around 6 o'clock and it finishes around 9 o'clock. So in fact, tomorrow I might be late. Or what we can do is that we can have the class before 5 o'clock tomorrow. So we can have it probably maybe around 2 p.m. or
that would be great.
2 p.m. or 3 p.m. in the afternoon UK time.
2 p.m. would be great.
Exactly. All right. So that by 5 o'clock we'll just finish and then we continue again. Right. But just practice this night with the slider, and look at some sliders as well. Look at how they did it. Try and do it. If you have any problem, then I'll guide you through on how you can do them.
No problem.
Yeah.
So tomorrow at 2 UK time?
Yeah. Let's make it 3 p.m. UK time tomorrow.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. No problem. All right.
Very good tutorial. I'm happy that.
All right. No problem. See you later.
Bye. Have a good night.
Bye. Good night.